Hopefully between the last episode and this one, you have done some animations and you've made something like a run animation. Again, what you're seeing here isn't fantastic, it's not perfect, but for the purposes of what we're doing here, it doesn't need to be. I've made a run animation, a very bad basic jump animation, as you can see right here. I've made a falling loop because as we're in midair, we need something to just have a little bit of motion while we're falling. Apparently, I've saved that as two separate animations, and then I've made a basic dash that we're going to be working with here. So, let's get started with that. We're going to go into our character blueprint. So, in my tutorial folder, I have player, and I have BP player character. We're going to finally replace the many that we have in here. I'm also going to get rid of that debug key. So, go into the mesh. And we're going to choose our own skeletal mesh there instead. It's going to be a bit smaller than the many. So we're going to go change the height of our capsule by a bit. And then we need to adjust our character mesh a little so that it's still inside. And that looks pretty decent. But right now he's just in T-pose. If we play the game, we are now our character, so that's fantastic. We can jump and we can do everything, but this is maybe not quite what we're looking for, right? We want him to animate. So he needs an animation blueprint, and he can't use the animation blueprint from Manny because his skeleton doesn't support that. We can just right-click on our character again. We can create an animation blueprint for him. You can just stick with the default name, drag it over, and now it will be, well, I misclicked drag, that's really embarrassing. But still, with it selected in the content browser, we can use this arrow to just set this as the animation blueprint. Opening that up, we are greeted with an entirely empty animation blueprint and all the animations that are supported by this skeleton for us to drag into it. So let's get started by dragging in our idle animation. We want to set this to being a looping animation because, of course, our idle should loop, and if we just drag it into the output pose here, we are idling. It's really as easy as that, but we want to go from idle to walking to running, depending on how fast we are moving. And for that, we're going to need a blend space. Coming back into our skeletal mesh, just right-click, create. We can create a blend space. In this case, one-dimensional is good enough because we only need to give him one value, which will be our walking speed. You can make a blend space 2D that takes in two values. We've looked at that before, I believe. And if you have a character that needs to be able to walk left and right and forward and backward at different speeds, that's where a blend space with 2 dimensions becomes really, really cool. We only need a blend space 1D, and we'll call this idle, walk, run, and maybe BS for blend space. It means blend space, okay? And then also label it as being for the character. Opening that up, we get a view that is very similar to a normal animation view, but we've got this little graph down here. We can drag in our idle animation at a value of 0. Then we can drag in our walking animation, and that's going to exist somewhere fairly close to that at a value of, let's say, just 10. That means that if we walk at all, even just a little bit, we're going to very quickly interpolate from our standing still to our walking. And honestly, maybe we can pull those up to like 200 because the interpolation kind of works fairly well for a sneaking type of walk. A lot better than I thought it would. Of course, if you have a sneaking mechanic in your game, it probably is good to put in a sneaking animation in between here. But now we have set this thing to being up to a value of 100 and we want to add more to it. So we can come up in the asset details and there the horizontal axis, we can say the maximum value, let's set that to 1,000 instead. And there we drag in our running animation, which is this one. And we can set this one to work if we are at 1,000 speed. And then anything in between is going to interpolate between standing still to walking and then walking even to running. So we can be halfway running, kind of like this jogging animation, and it works remarkably well, as you can see. If we're full on running, we'll just be running. So we've got that as a blend space now. Fantastic. back in our animation blueprint, get rid of the single, just idle animation, drag in our walking to running blend space instead. This one should automatically be set to looping, so that's good. And we're still just idling because we need to give in a value for how quickly we're moving. And that we do through the event graph. We talked a little bit about this before, but we've got this get pawn owner, and that's going to be the actor or the pawn that this animation blueprint is running on. We specifically know that this is going to be running on a character, and we don't need anything specifically from our BP player character, at least not at the moment. In the future we might. So it is good to cast this to just the base character class, because we don't need anything more specific than that. What we need from this is the get character movement component, which is somewhere down here, character movement, and we get the velocity from that. And we don't really care about the up and down velocity for this at the moment, but we might as well just promote this thing as a whole to a variable. That's fine. And then we can start using that to drive some stuff. So in the animation graph, we can use that velocity. Here, we don't care about the Z though, because we don't care about moving up or down. We just care how much we're moving along the ground. So we can transform this into a vector 2D, and that just gets rid of the Z component, which helps a lot. And then we get the length of that vector 2D, which is essentially an easy way to just get the speed at which we're moving. With that, we should now have a character that will be able to walk and run just like this. Now, the animations are a little scuffed, and we probably do want to just see how fast we're moving. If we go into the character movement component, we can say the max walk speed is 600. And 600 is probably pretty decent, but we are going to need to adjust the playback speeds of these animations to more or less feel like they fit with the speed at which we're running. So at 600, we are moving like this. At 1000, we'd be moving like this. So let's maybe pull this down to 700 instead. And that's going to maybe feel a little bit better as we walk around here. Maybe we just want this to be 600, honestly. Maybe we just want to go full on into the running animation. But the animations are a little bad. The knee also is super glitchy. As I said before, we don't necessarily have the best animations here. I'm going to set this one to 750. If you have a controller that you're working with, you might want to see, hey, if I gradually go from walking very slowly to very quickly, how does it interpolate between these animations? Because there, the walking animation will actually be used. I'm using WASD, so clearly I only have either no walking or full-on running. But we're gonna stick with this. This works, even if it looks a little bad. And when I say a little bad, I mean a lot bad. We want to add in jumping and falling as well. And here we start going into maybe wanting to make a state machine for this. So what we can do is we can make a state machine, and we'll call this loco for locomotion. I'm just going to copy all this out, and the state machine is going to go into our outpost instead. If we double click the state machine, we can open it up. We have an entry, and then we can start making states. So let's make a state. This will be walking, and in there we just paste the entire thing that we just had, and that now works as a single state within the state machine. From entry, we always go to walking, and now we just reconstruct what we did before in the different animation blueprints, which has been a while, so it's good to refresh you on how all that works. We want to have one jump animation, and we want to have a falling animation. If you have a separate double jump animation, you drag that in as well. It is good to have double jumping be a separate state. If you will recall, the animation blueprint that we made for our player does also have a state machine, and we had a separate double jump state even though it was the same animation. And this is pretty much what we're going to replicate in here. So walking can go into jumping. Of course, jumping doesn't need to be able to go back into walking, because jumping goes into falling, and falling goes into walking. Walking also needs to be able to go straight into falling, and then falling and the double jump back into falling states need to be connected as well. And that's the whole flow that we had set up here. Taking a real quick break here to say, if you're enjoying this or finding this helpful, a way that is entirely free for you to support me, if you don't want to sign up for the Patreon, is to go down below in the description to my Steam page for my own game and add it to your wishlist. Only takes a couple of seconds to do, but it actually does massively help me out and support me making my game and the content that comes along with it. Let's set up these transitions just in the direction of this flow as well. Walking to jumping. We want to start playing the jumping animation when we are no longer on the ground and we know that we're moving upwards. We've done this in the previous animation blueprint as well. And the character itself has a very nice is falling. Well, it's actually in the character movement component. So we can just use that little thing over here. It has a is falling variable on it. So we can just promote this to a variable, name that is falling. And now we have a value that we can use for falling. So trying to go from walking to jumping, if we just double click this, we can script out a transition. We want to check, hey, are we falling and Boolean? So we want to check two things. Only if we're falling and our velocity, break that vector, because we only care about the z, is greater than, let's say, 10, to make sure that we're actually for sure going up. Then we can do this transition into our jumping animation. Going back into the state machine, that's done. Jumping to falling just needs to happen when this character jump animation is done. And that's easily done by just saying, hey, this transition, I want to automatically rule based on sequence player state. When that finishes the sequence player, it's just going to transition from this into this. Then going from character falling into our double jump, we just do the same thing. We check, hey, are we falling and are we moving upward? That will trigger us to do a double jump. If we, for any other reason now, do get sent up, that would also make us play this animation. So there is something to the idea of maybe making the double jump a animation montage instead. Or maybe having a bool on your character that goes to true when you double jump and then goes back to false after like half a second or something like that. We're just going to copy over this code for now, because it is the most simple and straightforward way of doing it, and we can always tweak this later. Then going from our character jump back to our falling loop, of course, that also just whenever our character jump finishes. That leaves us with going from falling to walking and walking to falling, and that is super easy as well. Walking to falling just needs to happen when we are falling and our z velocity is less than 0. Because that means that we're falling down and we're not going upward. And then from falling to walking, we just check, hey, our is falling, we do a not Boolean. Because whatever the case, if we are within our falling loop state, the only reason that we ever enter that is because our falling has been set to true at some point. So while in that state, we're just constantly going to be checking, hey, are we not falling now? Which means that have we landed back on the ground? And if that ends up being true, we just go back to our normal walking state. This is the basic state machine for our locomotion, and you'll see now we actually have my very bad jumping animation, which has a little bit of stuff left over at the end of it, because I didn't make this animation as short as it should be. The jump animation is really quite bad, but there we go. It does work, and it probably could do with just being faster and just being a better animation and all that stuff, but we have an animation that plays when we jump, so technically that works, it just looks bad. And when we fall off this, it will play the falling loop animation as well, and that's that. Which leaves us with only doing the dash. And the dash is something that I wanted to focus on a little bit for this video, because we're going to go back into our animation graph and we're going to add a default slot. This is an animation slot, again, something that we've done before in the animation graph for this one as well. And this allows us to play animation montages, which, at least for the default slot, just overrides the entire animation that goes into it with an animation montage while it is playing. And then when the animation montage finishes playing, it just interpolates back to whatever the input was doing. Before we do that, however, we need to make sure that our animation for dash is set to using root motion. If we go into my level sequences, into the dash level sequence, just to show you, I used this white controller that we made for the player root, and I animated that forward with the dash animation like this. This is now capable of being used as root motion, but by default, it will not actually do that. By default, it will just act as a normal bone in a normal animation, and by the end of the animation, your character is going to be jumping back to its origin point. I will show you that right now. If I go in and do our character dash, it just jumps back to its origin point over and over and over again. You can see it's not root motion because it doesn't have a motion trail down here at its feet. If we go ahead and we look for root motion, we can enable root motion on this animation sequence, and now it has that motion trail. It also kind of shoots off into the distance because it tries to normalize the root motion scale. It kind of freaks out with that sometimes, so you can just turn this off, and now it does what you'd expect it to do. You can see the motion trail, and we know that this is now root motion. However, this still is a animation sequence, and we need to play this as an animation montage. So we just right click it, create, and a montage, and now we can use it as a montage, as easily as that. The montage itself has no root motion settings. You need to set up the root motion settings in the animation sequence, and then the montage is just kind of a container for that can be played on a animation slot in our animation blueprint. So somewhere in here, I have some code that plays a montage when I dash. So let's try and find that. It's right over here, play montage. And that is right now just playing the air dash animation that we have from our mannequin. But we're going to be replacing that with the animation montage that we ourselves made. And now we also have the dash. There seems to be a little bit of a bugginess caused where it kind of creates an issue where there's no gravity anymore. So let me try to figure out why that might be. It seems like maybe it's at no point starting this gravity scaling anymore, which would be weird, but we just added in a print string to see, yeah, it does not do that anymore. You see, we had that as an animation notify that we made in the animation montage itself that would call our end dash. So we need to end dash from our animation montage as well. So let's do that. By the end of this, we are done dashing. So here we just put in notify. These are the type of things that you just do forget after a month of not looking at this stuff. So that should fix that. We have our dash. It's a little bit of a clunky dash in some ways, just as the jump is clunky, but all in all, we have all of the animations that we did before, but now with our own little character, and we can start adjusting these as we see fit. All this started with the idea that we want a character model for our enemy, though, so that we can give him a attacking animation, and we can, well, number one, start dodging that attack, because right now he will always hit the attack when he just gets close to us. And number two, also just have him look less goofy than he is right now. And with the way we've got everything set up over the last handful of videos, right now, it's really easy to reuse the animations we've made on a new model. Because if we just import a new model that uses the same skeleton, we can reuse all the walking and running animations that we've made so far. And we can just add in one simple punching animation, and we've got our enemy ready to go. So that's what we're going to be focusing on next time. I'm going to make a quick variation that of our base mesh that's going to function as a fun little enemy for us to fight. And the next time we're going to import that and show you how easily we can expand from this point now. And a very big thank you to all my Patreons. You can see them on screen right now. If you want to help support the channel or get any of the project files in any of my tutorials, there's a link down below to the Patreon page to support me, or alternatively as a YouTube member. With a special thanks to my Cave student tier supporters Oiku and Earl Monseville Erno, and my Cave Digger tier supporters Mauricio Ferias, Cheng the Dude, and Joshua Mater.